Modern day myth, 90s myth. How the fuck has that shifted that orange?
I love you, Erin Parsons, and I love you for asking this question because it opens up such a beautiful opportunity for us to have a conversation. What happens in the product development life cycle over a span of 30 years that could impact the integrity of an original formula? Let's talk about it. So I'm a beauty product developer, and this is not exactly what has happened here, but I want to paint you a picture so you can start to understand all the different nuances that come into play when we're talking and thinking about manufacturing a beauty product over a span of 30 years and why this could have happened in shifting this lipstick from this tone to this tone. This is not wild. Early 90s, right? MAC was manufacturing products with Canadian manufacturers. That means that whoever was working in the product development sector approved a shade. We've approved this lab sample. They have to take that little beaker that they made and they have to scale it up. You have to do the calculations. You're optimizing the batch. You're never gonna nail the recipe on the first try when you're scaling up. You are always exploring the nuances that are gonna come up. When that batch drops, it goes into usually some type of a quality control department, at which point the quality control department has the lab sample that was approved. The lab sample has to get matched to the batch. At times, there's a gentle nuance. That's the shift. You'll get as close as possible to your lab sample with your what would be now considered the production standard. The first time you ever manufacture is called first production. Let's say lipstick launches. It sells out. It's a rip-roaring success. MAC has already told the lab to begin batching a new batch of the lipstick. Now you have to remember that our original standard from our original batch is hanging out in the quality control room at the manufacturer. It's no longer the first production. Each brand and each manufacturer has different rules about this. But technically speaking, once you're making these batches over a series of years, you are not necessarily required to send the batch for approval to the brand. So the person that works at the manufacturing facility in the quality control room is the person that is deciding what matches their wrist. They use their arm, their specific skin tone, and they're trained to make sure that the batch matches the standard. But the standard can shift over time just from its very existence. And so can the people that are matching that standard. Now let's play the game where MAC gets sold and Estee Lauder decides that they want to bring the development of the lipstick in-house. That lab standard that was originally made, whatever year it was originally made, and may never have even made it to the new manufacturing facility that's owned by Estee Lauder that buys MAC out. If that standard never makes it there, they're using whatever's out in the wild, which could be batch number 50 that has had incremental little tiny shifts over time. The point I'm making here is this is not a automated machine-driven procedure. There's human error that comes into play once you get into batching over and over and over again. Now, where does the marketing team come into play? The marketing team decides, hey, we want to launch a product that's really, really similar to this lipstick. We don't want it to cannibalize the sales of this rip-roaring success. So we're just gonna separate the two a little bit. So we're gonna push the one lipstick a little bit more warm tone, and maybe we're gonna launch that new cool toned flesh style colored lip as Erin Parsons is showing us. But in order to make sure that there's enough of a reason to launch these additional shades and we have enough variety on our unit, we need to make sure we separate them just enough. In this whole entire process, the batch is still shifting every time it's getting manufactured. You never can really make the same exact shade every single time without any margin for error because the raw materials change too over time. And the pigments change. Yes, there's so many quality control efforts that are made, but again, it's human that are QCing the raw materials when they come in for manufacture. It's human that are evaluating the shades as the production batches evolve over the years. Once you bring all these elements into consideration, it doesn't seem wild to me that it has shifted so much, but I do want everyone to reflect for a second and understand that it's never just about one single reason that's creating a lipstick to go from here to here. There's about 85 different things that happen, and it's the entire surround sound of the brand and the existence and the history and the sales and the marketing that's driving that. As if all that wasn't enough, the retailer may say, hey, guess what? That shade's not doing so well. You should change it a little bit. The retailer might come in and ask for that change. And it may be ever so slight. They absolutely can change your business because they decide whether or not you're going to be selling it on their sales floor.